Sarah, what do you think you're wearing? That shirt looks like it's from your grandma's closet.
You think my outfit's ugly? You look like you got just the lights off this morning.
You're a that has to be illegal to say that.
Technically, O'Neill has the right to say whatever she wants, thanks to the First Amendment. The First Amendment states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, of the press, or of the right of the people to peacefully assemble, or to petition the government for a redress of grievances.
Fire! We're on fire down here. Help! Flames crackling. Marshmallows toasting. Save us!
What are you doing yelling fire? You can't do that.
No, that only pertains to movie theaters, crowded ones. If you're watching a Wednesday matinee of Deuce Bigalow, you can yell fire all you want. Hell, you can start a fire and no one will complain.
As American citizens, it's important for us to understand our rights guaranteed by the Constitution. To get an idea of how much we really know, we asked Souhegan, what do they know about the First Amendment? And we asked them, can you name the 5 rights guaranteed by the First Amendment?
Okay.
Science person. Go find a studies.
You don't know anything about the First Amendment?
Freedom of speech, right to assemble, right to religion, and I forget the other.
It's oh my god.
Speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
What do you mean the 5 parts of the First
There's
Amendment?
five rights guaranteed by the First Amendment. What are they?
I don't know.
Don't you have to know that for your job?
No.
Isn't
that the freedom of speech?
Uh-huh.
It's the freedom of speech.
look at each
That's not a good one.
Speech. Freedom of speech, religion, press, assembly, and religion. Yes! Say that?
We also asked Sarah's parents to find out what people in the outside world really know about our First Amendment.
Freedom of the press, freedom of speech, freedom of religion.
Government health insurance?
Nope.
No? Alright, start over again.
One landmark case in our history of the United States that has to do with the First Amendment was the Employment Division versus Smith. This was the case that the United States Supreme Court held that the state could deny unemployment benefits to a person fired for violating a state prohibition on the use of peyote, even though the use of the drug was part of a religious ritual. It all started when 2 counselors that worked for a private drug rehabilitation organization ingested peyote, which is a powerful hallucinogen, as a part of their religious ceremonies as members of the Native American Church. As a result of their conduct, the rehabilitation organization fired the counselors, and when they did this, the counselors filed a claim for unemployment compensation. The government denied them benefits because the reason for their dismissal was considered work-related misconduct.
Come in. Hi, I just wanted to let you know we got your drug test results and we found positive for peyote. You're fired. Hello, my name is Carolina Peaky. I'm the chair of the Unemployment Division. Today, what can I do for you? I would like to file for unemployment. My name is Alfreda Smith. I'm sorry, Alfreda, we cannot give you unemployment compensations. You violated your company's code of conduct, which says no drug use, and you— That's my religion!
In the conclusion of the U.S. Supreme Court, Justice Antonin Scalia, writing for the majority, observed that the court has never held that an individual's religious beliefs excuse him from compliance with an otherwise valid law, prohibiting conduct that government is free to regulate. Allowing exceptions to every state law or regulation affecting religion would open the prospect of constitutionally required exemptions from civic obligations of almost every conceivable kind. One method of expressing ourselves that we don't often think about when we think about a freedom guaranteed by the Constitution is expressing ourselves through fashion. So we asked Souhegan students and Souhegan staff how they feel about a restriction on this expression, or in other words, a dress code.
We should be able to wear what we want and express ourselves.
But like dress codes in general, I think they're stupid.
They shouldn't be a thing.
I think there should be no dress code. We should be able to dress however we want.
Not good.
I think dress codes are very unfair.
For our community, I don't think it really meshes super well with what we have going.
I think you dress appropriately.
people should be able to wear whatever they want, because I think that telling girls what they can wear is very degrading. It's not fair to them. The same rules don't apply to men, which is not what we should be teaching our kids and the people and the older generations too, because they clearly don't know what's right and what's wrong.
We probably have a very negative outlook on restriction of the way we dress because it's one of the ways we express ourselves. It's one of our freedoms. One case that often comes up in the discussion of freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of protest, and also freedom of what we wear is Tinker v. Des Moines Independent Community School District. So the facts of the case are that in December 1965, a group of students in Des Moines held a meeting in the home of 16-year-old Christopher Eckert, and they basically decided that to support a truce for the Vietnam War, they were going to wear black armbands to school. And the school staff learned about the plan and created a policy that stated any student wearing an armband would be asked to remove it, and if the student refused to do so, the student would be suspended. On December 16th, Mary Beth Tinker and Christopher Eckert wore their armbands to school and were sent home. The following day, John Tinker, the older brother of Mary Beth Tinker, did the same with the same result. Through their parents, the students sued the school district for violating the students' rights of expression and sought an injunction to prevent the school's district from disciplining the students.
Alright, class, are you so Katoa? Does anybody know what X is? O'Neill, I'm sorry, what is on your arm?
We're protesting the Vietnam War.
You have to take that off. It's not part of our dress code.
We're not taking them off. It's part of our freedom of speech. We can wear and say whatever we want.
Not here. It's not a part of the dress code. So you either have to take it off or you have to go to the principal's office.
Alright, we'll go to the principal's office then.
Alright?
In the conclusion of this case, Justice Abe Fortas delivered the opinion of the 7-2 majority. The Supreme Court held that the armbands represented pure speech and that it is entirely separate from the actions or conduct of those participating in it. The court also held that the students did not lose their First Amendment rights to freedom of speech when they stepped onto school property. In order to justify the suppression of speech, the school officials must be able to prove that the conduct in question would materially and substantially interfere with the operation of the school. But what happens when somebody's shirt or whatever they're wearing really can disrupt the school day? A case that really, this wasn't a Supreme Court case, but it does explore this concept, is KD v. Fillmore Central School District. And this was from 2005, and a young man known as KD, in all the text of the case, wore a shirt to school that had some controversial pro-life messages on it. It said things like abortion is homicide, and just very violent and aggressive messages about people who have had abortions. And basically a teacher said he had known of girls at the school who had considered getting an abortion or had gotten an abortion, and he said, you know, this is harming the students. And KD took this as an infringement on his freedom of speech when the teacher told him, you know, take your shirt off or you'll be sent home.
Kenneth, you're late. Please go take a seat.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna take attendance. Yes, Caroline?
Excuse me, Kenneth's shirt is offending me because I just had an abortion recently.
Yeah, me too. It offended me also. Yeah, Kenneth, I'm gonna need you to take that shirt off. I can't take it off. It's a part of my First Amendment. I get the right to wear this shirt, and I'm gonna wear it.
In the conclusion of this case, the judge actually sided with KD, stating that there wasn't enough proof that the shirt really caused enough harm, and that just because he disagreed with some students' views on abortion, it didn't necessarily make it a personal attack, and that the shirt was prevented from being worn because of its content directly, and that was an infringement on his freedom of speech. So therefore, KD was allowed to wear the shirt. What if something that a student's wearing is really not offending anybody, but it's just directly against the school's dress code? In 2003, the Clark County School District created a regulation which created a standard dress code for all Clark County schools. And a number of schools in the district instituted a uniform policy, and Liberty High School instituted a policy where all students had to wear a solid colored polo tee or button-down shirt with or without Liberty logos. And Kimberly Jacobs, an 11th grader at Liberty, repeatedly violated this uniform policy because she wore a shirt containing a printed message reflecting her religious beliefs. And as a result of these violations, Jacobs was repeatedly referred to the dean's office and was ultimately suspended from school 5 times. Kimberly and her parents saw this as an infringement on her freedom of speech and took this to court.
Hi, Kimmy. I saved you a seat.
Thanks.
Wow, Kimmy, I love your shirt. It's really bold.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Kimmy. Yeah? You can't wear that shirt. You're gonna get suspended again if you keep wearing that shirt.
Okay, well, this is my religion, so I think I have the right to wear it.
Not here, you don't. It's not part of our uniform. You can either wear a white shirt or a shirt with our school's logo on it.
Okay, well, my parents are going to see you.
In the conclusion of this case, the court actually ruled in favor of the school district, stating that because when Jacobs was suspended from school, her teachers actually provided her with all the work and supported her. She just couldn't come to school wearing that shirt, that she was not academically penalized, so there was no harm done there. And that the school had already instated the dress code, and the dress code didn't say you can't wear a religious symbol. The dress code simply stated you must wear a solid colored shirt or a shirt with the school's logo on it. And because of the state's laws, the schools were allowed to have a dress code, so therefore Jacobs was actually in the wrong. So what can we conclude about our freedom of speech as American citizens, especially when it comes to the way we dress? Well, we can conclude that the rules are a little different in schools. The state sometimes makes laws that make it okay for a school to infringe on a student's right to wear whatever they want. And sometimes a school can say that we're harming other students or distracting the school day just for speaking our minds and standing up for what we believe in. And I think that that's really important in our American democracy, and it's guaranteed by the First Amendment that no matter what, we can really say whatever we want, and we can say it through what we wear. And it's up to us as the younger generations of America to really come forward and challenge these rules that are placed upon us based on how we can express ourselves.